So this is a heat of the Visitors Challenge Cup, Oxford Brookes University against Waikato from New Zealand.
Attention! Go!
And we have made a change in the commentary box. Jim Harlow has gone. Matt Britton has sat down beside me, and here we see these crews going off the start. And let's have a look at this crew from Waikato steering towards the island.
That's a nasty mistake early on. They got to get off those buoys, Greg, and they're making a correction, but it's quite a violent correction. That's really, really unsettling in the first 10 strokes of a race, but recovered pretty well, and they've got a straight line now. About 10 strokes into the race, the steersman can look up behind and see some posts that align and get their line, but the first few strokes it's really, really hard to do that. So unsettling, but they're into a rhythm now.
Well, it's Thomas Bedford in the 3 seat of the Waikato boat who steers, and so it's not easy to get a view early on in the race. First time steering this year on the Henley course could be tricky.
Yeah, that's been a disturbed start from them. It's quite unconventional to have the 3-person steering. Usually it's stroke in a straight lane race like this, or bow, easier to get the line. But they are now getting back into it, but I think that's given a really strong early advantage to their rivals, the Oxford Brookes University crew on the far side of our picture, looking much more relaxed as we see the stroke man there, Tom Astoriades, setting a lovely rhythm for his crew. 98 kilos, quite a big guy, quite a strong stroke rate, and that's already given probably a couple of lengths of a lead well before the barrier.
Well, I think this might come as a bit of a surprise to the crew from New Zealand who've come over here and found themselves up against this strong Oxford Brookes crew, as we see Will Guest in the stroke seat there, 22 years of age, and they're still having to make some steering corrections, still trying to get a position right on the river, and still not quite looking settled.
Yeah, still up at 38 strokes a minute, the Waikato crew. They've got everything to do to try to get back on terms, and it may be that they can do that. They've got they're starting to looking a little bit more settled. As they went off after that steering area, they look quite tight in the shoulders and quite stiff. That's not the way you want to move a coxless 4. And now they're stretching out and loosening out a little bit, but see a contrast here, the smooth and more relaxed power in the Brookes crew.
When we look at this Brookes crew, we know there's a very strong programme going on at Oxford Brookes. This is a strong development crew. They've competed in the second 8 throughout this year. We've also put in some pretty fantastic performances. Seb Newman won a bronze medal at Junior World Championships in 2017, which was an impressive performance.
Yeah, and here we come through to the middle of the course. You can see that the Brookes continue to be the same kind of distance ahead, looking long and relaxed and strong. These guys are from their second 8, a really strong development crew and a good foundation for the future. You were saying earlier, Greg, the Brookes system, it's like an Oxford production line, just like the Mini Cooper or something, churning out great athletes after another. And it's great to see the depth of that team, and also some new stars on the rise, like these guys would hope to be.
Well, as you say, new stars in the making. This Oxford Brookes crew have taken control of this race early. The crew from Waikato had the steering difficulties. I think now almost it looks like the crews are going the same speed, but Oxford Brookes have opened up that lead of about 2 lengths.
Yeah, the Waikato crew, some of the top New Zealand club rowers, the stroke and bow men, that's William Guest and James Ingham, competed together in the New Zealand National Championships in the men's pair and got a bronze medal there. So some pretty strong club athletes here, and you can see they're now rowing the boat really quite nicely after that unsettling start. And they certainly haven't lost any further distance as they go through the middle of this 2,112 metre course. But Brookes, commanding position. I mean, that's really where you'd want to be, Greg, at this stage of the race. How would you be feeling if you're in the Brookes boat?
Well, I think they're looking smooth, they're moving well, but I think you're still nervous. I think this is a quality crew that's come from New Zealand behind you, but the focus is straight down the boat. Can't afford to worry about the opposition, worry about what you're doing. Keep moving the boat well, and they seem to be doing that very effectively. Yeah,
we could see Tom there in the stroke seat that we mentioned. They're just being warned, the Brookes crew, to steer away. The umpire wants to stop them from crossing the centre line. That's the obligation of both of the crews here. They changed the rules a few years ago. Used to be possible if you're a few lengths ahead to move across. Bit of gamesmanship perhaps, but in order to make sure things are really clean, the stewards decided to ensure that they stay either side of the dividing line, and that's what they've done. They've corrected nicely, and the umpire won't be further troubled, I think.
Well, it's Barnabas Fox in the bow seat of the Oxford Brookes crew who has the rudder. He's made that correction. He's competed for Great Britain at the Coupe de la Jeunesse, winning in the 8, but now he sits in the bow seat of the Coxless 4 with the responsibility of steering along this Henley course, and he's doing it really quite effectively, as we see the Waikato crew still slurring around a little bit from side to side.
Yeah, I think they'll be disappointed with that start, but rowing well now. And of course, they have the joy of rowing on Lake Karapiro in New Zealand, the site of the World Championships back in 1978 and in 2010, a famous rowing venue that everybody loves to go and compete at, and has produced, as we know, the Kiwis have produced some fantastic crews over the years.
They have. It's a beautiful lake at Karapiro, and it throws up all sorts of conditions, a bit like the Henley course can, but the Henley course today is producing very nice, flat, calm conditions on this Thursday morning. And the Oxford Brookes crew is really making the most of it. Plenty of strength and power, but actually they're moving, for big men, moving really nicely in the Coxless Fall.
Yeah, it looks quite benign. I was actually out on the water myself very early this morning, and there's a little bit of a crosswind in that section of the course where the crews are now, and they're now coming towards us straight the way down the course.
And the Oxford Brookes crew still just about seem to have control. The Waikato crew doing everything they can to try to get back onto terms, but there's just real calmness and composure on the face of the Brookes crew, and they're still just pounding along, keeping the stroke rate solid, keeping it at that 36.
34, 35, 36, yeah. I mean, it's a good solid row. They're not letting off too much, I'd say. The New Zealanders are pushing them quite a bit harder, and I can see the New Zealanders probably made quarter of a length, half a length, closing the gap a little bit as they push into the final 250 metres or so of this Henley Regatta course. Bit longer than they're used to. They'd be used to 2,000 metres. They've still got 112 metres on top of that to go, but no problem for Oxford Brookes. The sun shines on them as they pass the filling up Stewart's enclosure and approach the finish line.
We see them coming down now. Oxford Brookes tight to the booms as they come across the finish line, and then it's going to be a good win. I think they'll be very pleased with that, the crew from Oxford Brookes. Disappointment for the crew from Waikato who've travelled here from New Zealand. We will see confirmation in the Visitors Challenge Cup of that win for Oxford Brookes University over Waikato.